Have you ever wondered what's worse? Burying someone you love, or being told they might still be out there, alive years after you've grieved? My name is Rowan Bell. For 4 years, I carried the weight of my sister's absence like a stone in my chest. We were told she was gone forever. The search ended. The vigils stopped. People whispered that I should move on. But how do you move on when every silence in your house feels like her unfinished sentence? It was a gray afternoon in El Paso, the kind where the air feels heavy, pressing down on you. I had just come home from work when the phone rang. My mother's voice cracked through the line, trembling, broken, yet filled with something I hadn't heard in years. Certainty. "Rowan," she sobbed. "I saw her. She's still alive." For a moment, my body refused to move. I stared at the wall, the paint peeling in a thin line above the window, and thought maybe grief had finally twisted her mind. But she kept repeating it, each word cutting through me. Alive. After all this time. I pressed the phone harder against my ear, waiting for her to take it back, to say she'd been mistaken. Instead, she whispered a detail that made the hair on my arms rise. She was standing across the street. Same red jacket. Same scar above her eyebrow. She looked right at me. I wanted to believe her. I wanted it more than anything. But in the quiet that followed, a darker question gnawed its way in. If my sister had truly returned, where had she been hiding all these years? And why hadn't she come home? What stays with you isn't the grand memories. It's the small, ordinary things that never stop echoing. My sister, Mariana, had this way of humming under her breath when she cooked. Not full songs, just fragments. Broken melodies that filled the kitchen like unfinished prayers. She was 22 when she vanished, but she still clung to habits from childhood. She carried a notebook everywhere, its pages filled with sketches of places she wanted to see. The Brooklyn Bridge at night, the desert blooms outside Tucson, the Ferris wheel on Coney Island. She used to say, "If I can draw it, maybe one day I'll touch it." I can still picture her handwriting, slanted, urgent, as though the words might outrun her. People always ask, what was she like? The truth is, she was the kind of person who never left quietly. Her laughter carried down hallways. Her anger cut sharp, fast, then melted just as quickly. She wore the same red jacket every winter, the one Mom swore she'd outgrown years before. That jacket became her signature. The night she disappeared, she was wearing it. And now my mother claims she's seen her again, in the same jacket, unchanged, as if time itself hadn't touched her. I should feel hope. Instead, I feel dread. Because if Mariana has been alive all these years, walking among us unseen, there's only one question that keeps tightening around my throat. Who, or what, kept her hidden? They always tell you the last sighting is the key. But what if the last sighting feels like a lie? The night Mariana vanished, the streets of El Paso pulsed with heat. It was early September, air thick with the smell of asphalt and exhaust. She had left our house just after 7, saying she was meeting a friend for coffee near Mesa Street. That was the last confirmed moment. Except, the friend swore she never showed. I remember standing in her empty room hours later, her sketchbook still open on the desk. The last drawing was of a door. Not a landmark, not a cityscape. Just a plain wooden door with a lock drawn in bold, heavy strokes. Underneath, a single line scrawled in her restless handwriting. Not every door opens the way you think. Police searched her usual routes, coffee shops, bus stops, the small bookstore she loved downtown. Nothing. But one detail gnawed at all of us. A neighbor claimed they saw her walking past their house around 9 p.m., 2 hours after she was supposed to meet her friend. She wasn't alone. A figure trailed a few steps behind, head low, moving like a shadow stitched to her. The neighbor hesitated, unsure if it was worth mentioning. By the time he came forward, the trail was already cold. And yet, when I think back to my mother's trembling voice, the sighting she swears was real, the red jacket glowing against the afternoon light, I can't escape one thought. Maybe that shadow never let her go. What if the very people searching for answers are the ones who bury the truth the deepest? The investigation opened fast. Patrol cars circling our block, officers knocking on doors, detectives flipping through Mariana's sketches as though the drawings themselves could confess. But behind the flashing lights, something felt wrong. Detective Elias Monroe, the lead on her case, spoke with a calmness that unsettled me more than his words. He said disappearances like this often had ordinary explanations. I remember clenching my fists, because nothing about Mariana's absence felt ordinary. Then came the contradictions. A cashier at a gas station swore she saw Mariana buying water the night she vanished. Alone, anxious, glancing at the parking lot as if someone waited there. Yet hours later, another man claimed he watched her argue with someone near an abandoned motel on Dyer Street. Same red jacket, same scar catching the glow of a street lamp. 2 sightings, 2 different stories, same night. The police logged them both, but no urgency followed. Days passed and whispers spread. A neighbor said they'd seen a rusted blue truck circling the block that week, always slowing when Mariana left for work. Another name surfaced. A man she had once worked with at a diner. A man fired for following her home. Still, nothing stuck. And as the evidence scattered in too many directions, I kept replaying my mother's words. She looked right at me. If she was alive long after that night, maybe the wrong person was leading the search. What would you do if the first real clue about your missing sister wasn't found by police, but by a stranger who had no reason to be searching? A week after Mariana vanished, a man named Victor Alvarez, an electrician repairing streetlights near the old motel, spotted something wedged behind a dumpster. It was a spiral notebook, edges torn, smudged with dirt. The cover bore her initials, MB. Inside were pages filled with her familiar sketches. But this time, the drawings weren't of bridges or cityscapes. They were of faces, unfamiliar, half-finished faces, some smiling, some distorted. One page stopped me cold. A man with hollow eyes and a jagged scar cutting across his jawline. I didn't recognize him, but when I showed it to Detective Monroe, his expression tightened, and he slipped the notebook into an evidence bag without answering my questions. That night, I overheard my mother whispering on the phone, her voice raw. She was afraid of him. She told me weeks before she disappeared. Afraid of who? She wouldn't say. 2 days later, another revelation cracked through the silence. A security guard at the bus depot came forward. He swore Mariana had been there the night she vanished, waiting, restless, clutching her red jacket as if it were armor. She wasn't boarding a bus. She was watching the parking lot, waiting for someone. The thought hit me like ice. Maybe she hadn't disappeared at all. Maybe she walked straight into the hands of someone she already knew. And if that's true, then every search, every lead, every sleepless night was chasing the wrong shadow. Her mother swore she saw her. Not a dream, not a shadow. She stood in the doorway, soaked from rain, hair clinging to her cheeks, whispering something only a mother would recognize. The words weren't loud, but they carried a weight that cut deeper than any scream. "Why didn't you open the door that night?" Neighbors dismissed it as grief hallucination, but her mother's eyes told another story. Eyes that had watched a child vanish and now swore they saw her return. Doctors offered explanations. Trauma, exhaustion, guilt. But the mother refused. She described the clothes her daughter wore, the exact necklace clasped around her neck, details never released to the public. How could a delusion know that? And then an unsettling twist. Hours later, a farmer several towns away reported seeing a girl matching the description, barefoot on a dirt path, staring blankly at the fields as if waiting for someone to follow. Her mother begged investigators to believe her, but they stalled, caught between evidence and fear of chasing ghosts. But here's the question no one wanted to face. If her mother truly saw her, who was the girl wandering those fields hours later? Her mother swore she had seen her, standing at the edge of the field, barefoot, hair tangled with wild grass. For weeks the village whispered that grief was playing tricks on her. But then a neighbor claimed the same thing. She was there, staring at me through the fence. Not moving, just staring. Police dragged flashlights across the farmland once more, finding nothing but a single ribbon knotted to a fence post, the same ribbon she had worn the day she vanished. Tension spread like fire. Old women whispered of curses. Children were locked indoors, and her mother trembled as she begged. She isn't gone. She's here. You're not looking in the right place. That desperate plea cracked the case open. When investigators revisited her old classroom, they froze. The chalkboard bore words scrawled in uneven handwriting. Handwriting experts confirmed it was hers. Yet the chalk marks hadn't been there during the first search. Her mother collapsed, whispering, "She's still calling me." Then, the breakthrough. Surveillance footage from a rural bus depot revealed a girl boarding a late-night bus 2 towns away. Same ribbon, same eyes, alive. The driver remembered her silence. No ticket, no belongings, only a juice box gripped tightly in her hand. But the trail twisted. That bus wasn't heading to a city. It ended at a long-abandoned farmhouse once owned by her estranged uncle. Inside, carved deep into the wooden wall near the window, investigators found chilling final words. "Mama saw me. She was never seen again." The case remains unsolved. Yet her mother insists, "I'll keep searching until the day I die, because I know she's still here. She saw me, and I saw her." The truth may never surface, but the haunting certainty remains. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret for more stories that leave you questioning everything.